Pop, pop, pop. As several shots rang out, I crouched behind a dumpster. Then I glanced behind me and caught Black Sean's eye. What were we doing in the middle of a shootout? This was serious stuff, not exactly what I'd expected when Black Sean had approached me earlier in school. "Hey," Black Sean had said, grinning, my eyes focused on the serious gold jewelry around his neck. "Want to go get some money?" He didn't have to ask twice. I followed him without a backward glance. We caught a city bus at the corner and got off at a stop in South Jamaica, Queens, where we spotted Jamal, a kid I knew to be a drug hustler. "Hey, come on," Jamal called, moving down the sidewalk in a hurry. "We gotta go." Black Sean and I didn't know what was happening, but the excitement in Jamal's voice sent a surge of adrenaline through my bloodstream. A couple of other guys joined us for whatever was going down. Then Jamal crouched behind a dumpster in an alley and peered around the corner. What was he doing? Were we in the middle of some kind of drug deal or what? Before I even realized Jamal was carrying, he pulled out a gun, held it in both hands, and started shooting at a guy across the street. What? Instinct had told me to duck, so I crouched behind Jamal. My heart pounded. I barely had time to think before he yelled, "Let's go!" So off we went. I glanced over my shoulder, looking for a body in the street, but I didn't see one. Good. I wanted no part of killing. Next thing I knew, I was standing with Jamal, Black Sean, and some other guys. A dealer named Abdul stood with us, and he grinned at Jamal. "Way to go," he said. Then he looked at Black Sean and gestured in my direction. "Who's this guy?" Black Sean looked at me. "Slim." "You want a deal, Slim?" Abdul asked. Of course I did. Dealing meant money, and money meant everything on the street. Abdul must have figured that if I had the courage to run with Jamal, I had what it took to be a dealer. I nodded, and Abdul grinned. "Give him a package," he said to one of the other guys. He narrowed his eyes at me. "This is how it works. You don't sell to nobody you don't know. You keep the stuff hidden. You take the money, and then you go get a capsule and hand it over. If you follow my rules, you'll be okay." His smile broadened. "Be smart, dude, and you'll be cool." He walked away, and another kid handed me a bag of crack cocaine. Then I grinned at Black Sean. I felt the weight of the drug bag in my hand. It was a lot lighter than my school books. Ever since I'd been old enough to recognize the signs of success, I'd wanted to be a dealer. And there I stood among dudes with guns, attitude, and a supplier. I was on my way, and I was only 14 years old. A couple of months later, I found myself lying on the sidewalk with blood gushing from my head. I felt the roughness of the concrete beneath my hands and heard a throbbing in my ears. What had happened this time? I pushed myself up to a sitting position. A group of my friends stood around me, but most of them were silent and still. Jamal came over and glared at me. "Yo, you stupid, son. Why you mess around with Abdul's money trying to flip it? You dumb stupid. You ought to be happy you ain't getting capped." I pressed my hand to my head and felt a swelling lump over my temple. "How'd my head get like this?" Jamal's mouth twisted in a smirk. "Abdul smashed his phone into your skull till it exploded, and then stomped his boots on your head." I ran my hand over my jaw, which felt swollen, and tasted the metallic tang of blood mixed with dirt. Dirt? Oh yeah, Abdul had tried to kick out my teeth once I was down. As my boss, he felt it his duty to administer a little discipline to a wayward worker. Somehow I managed to stumble into a Korean grocery store where someone finally looked at me with compassion. The owner hooked me up with some rubbing alcohol and a pack of Band-Aids so I could clean my wounds. As I braced myself for the alcohol burn, I realized I might have to patch the Band-Aids together to stop the bleeding. I finished with the bandages and, without skipping a beat, went right back to hustling. I walked out of the store and yelled at anyone who looked like a potential customer. "I've got the good stuff here. Don't go to Jamal. His crack is whack. I've got the good stuff right here." People stopped. They always did. After looking at the crazy patchwork on my head and face, a couple of my faithful customers summoned up the courage to ask what had happened. I said what everyone in my condition said. "Don't sweat it, man. This is just part of the business." And it was. Yet it wasn't. Everyone in the life I'd chosen got beat up. Beatings were part of the game, but unlike the vast majority of other kids my age who were hustling, I wasn't content to just be a drug dealer. I wanted to be a kingpin, a boss, a street god.